maybe you'll want to watch this again, but we want this to be, we're doing this in a team setting, so you all can unmute, you can say hi, you can stop us at any time. I'm going to be checking the chat while we go. And then also you can just stop us. Scott and I are very informal in that way, where we want this to be a conversation where we're not just talking the whole time, because we want to learn about your businesses too. Because if we can help you match your needs with our AP automation and it's a good fit, then we've won, right? And so that's what we're looking for, is to make sure that we've done that. So today's goal is to go through our AP automation tool, and we're going to share some stories with you about other customers, because maybe that will help you relate and go, yeah, we can do that too, right? And we built this tool just for Syspro. So it's really exciting, because that just means it's already all integrated and set up. And we actually came out with this 3 years ago. So this isn't brand new anymore. And we've added a lot of features since 3 years ago when it first came out. So we're going to walk you through that. You want to go to the next slide, Scott?
There we go.
There's us.
There's us.
So
yeah,
there's the two people.
We clean up well.
Yeah, right. So there's like our really touched up version. But between the two of us, we will help you through these projects. So Scott's on the sales side and helping you find the right solutions for smrtr, right? And then after you do that, work with Scott on that, he hands it over to me, and I help you on the project side and getting you set up and implemented as fast as we can and get you successful. We find you some quick wins in the project and really help you do that onboarding and make sure your team is successful. So that's my role. You can go to the next one. So between us, you'll be set. So we came up with this day about a year ago, and it's been a fun way to share AP automation with you guys. So Scott, do you want to walk through this one?
Hang on. You ever had anybody try to call you right when you don't want them to call you?
That happened to me last night, actually. Yes.
I won't take that call.
Okay.
It was a sales call, though. I should have probably taken it.
Yeah.
All right. Congrats on just I appreciate you and all your teammates there taking the time just to learn a little more about AP automation. As Steph had said, we've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now, and we feel like we're pretty darn good at it. So it could definitely change your business, because you guys are obviously doing manual automation to bring things in. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here if you weren't already doing it that way. But the bottom line is we want to streamline that process.
I put this in.
That one's yours.
My silly sense of humor. I don't know. Using this robot as like your assistant, right? Makes you the cool kid. There you go.
That's right.
Just being silly.
Yep. Bottom line, drop it in and it works.
Right. All right, I'm going to open my chat. If you guys could open your chats right now, what we want to start the call with is making sure, like I said at the beginning, we want to address any concerns or questions you have. So could you put in the chat, and you can do more than one, but definitely do like your number one concern right now. It could be related to automation or not, but we'll see if we can help. So could you guys take a minute and be brave and maybe put some things in there? We'll give you a minute. Or if you want to unmute, you can tell us too, but the chat will be good if you want us to remember.
Yeah, we'll take either way. No problem. Yeah.
This is the interactive part. Okay, guys? Okay, good. I see people.
This is their part.
Typing, right? Yeah, now we're turning the mic to you guys.
There you go. Those are good.
Those are good. Yes. We hear those a lot. Yes. Okay. 2 good ones.
Well, when we take, as I tell people, what AP automation really does is today, you're gathering up invoices when they come in. Doesn't matter if they're hard, paper copies or online, meaning that they're a PDF and an email. You're gathering them up, And the funny thing about it is the first thing you do generally is print them. Even though you're getting them electronically, you print them so that you can have that piece of paper in front of you so that then you can kind of gather and sort them together, get like companies together and, the like. And then you got to go through and match up your receipts and your prices and, just all the different things that you got to do with that so that you can even get prepared to actually enter them into a system. And so we definitely want to take and turn that into a simple process, just a one-step process.
Yeah, Anton just touched on what you said, right? So like we'll share some stories with you here in a minute, but just know we've had customers where I do calls with them and there's like 10 file cabinets behind them right here. And by the end of our project, all the file cabinets are gone. So like that's a huge win, right? Where we, like Scott just said, we can stop printing so much stuff. It's all digital forever in the archive. And we'll talk about that too. Cool.
Yeah, I just continue to laugh because people are now finally getting invoices in a PDF in an email. And
Right, we're
if they're not
there.
automating the process, the next thing they do is print it out. And it's like, why? Let's do
Yeah,
this,
that's us.
let's do
That's
this
us.
together.
Definitely, yeah.
That's exactly us.
We had perfect
And we
example.
got more than 10 boxes, actually. We got walls of filing cabinets and a room with racks and bunch of boxes.
Okay. You're not alone. Yes.
Well, we can
But
help you
we're,
with the document management too, we
yeah,
can
it's
do
kind
that
of both.
too. That's
It's
a
kind of
different
two
day, different
pieces.
story, but yeah.
Right. We start with invoices and all the paper related to invoices, but man, yes, we could touch lots of documents. Okay, I think this is a good start, Scott. If you want to go to the next screen, there's one more question for you guys. And that is anything related towards automation. Because sometimes we hear some hangups on like, we would do it, but, right? So put in the chat if you wouldn't mind, or unmute and tell us maybe why haven't you already done it? Why haven't you already started? What has held you back? What concerns do you have? And just to make sure we address those today, and hopefully we can overcome those concerns. But tell us, it could be function, it could be price, it could be maybe you don't have the enough people in play, whatever. Tell us.
One and to be really transparent, there is a point of use where AP automation doesn't fit. And
Sure.
I've talked to companies with, well, we process 25 invoices a week, and I'm like, that's 100 a month. There's I don't know how much we're going to be able to help you, but the more volume you get, the more value there
Right.
is. And so the little tiny guys, I totally get it, but it'll
Right.
still help them. It'll still help them. It's just a matter of will it really gain them an ROI?
Oh, Mindy, that's fair. Okay.
Yep.
So
Well, they
maybe we need to
see,
do a better job of the ROI stuff, Scott, because I get it. You have to try and
yeah,
sell them on it, right? I get it.
right, right. Well, and we've got some tools. We put together a spreadsheet. Well, now it's been almost 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah, I
and
know.
we used it early on, but then it got to be so obvious. I think where I came from, it got to be so obvious the gain that you would get from it that we just we quit playing with the numbers. I guess I would say
Right.
'cause
Maybe we can
it's
bring it
just a,
back for you, Mindy, though, because you're right.
yep,
Like we do want buy-in because that automation will impact your business for years to come. The time savings you get, the errors that you're not typing things in, and it three-way matches for you, and all these savings you get. We can track those too. So even after 3 months of the project, we can go back to your leaders and go, take a look. That's pretty cool, right? Just to have
right.
some proof. So we can do that for you too. So if that helps you get a yes, they'll say, just tell them Stephanie promised some numbers. Um, but that's my side on your project success, right? When you tell me up front, it takes us 10 hours a week to do AP, maybe we can get it down to like 3 baby steps. That's good. Yes.
No,
I like it.
exactly.
Thanks for being real with us. Anybody else have any concerns?
Just getting there, baby steps. Yep. Yep, we understand
Here's
that. Well,
the
and
yep.
yeah, your leaders or your C's in the company tend to say, well, that's just another cost. That's just going to cost us anything. And something that we'd like people to understand about SMrtr is anything that we promote to you generally is going to save your money. It's not an added cost, it's an added savings. And I know it's hard to, kind of see it that way, but the bottom line is if I'm doing something for $10,000 a year now, it used to take me $40,000 a year. I've saved you money. So it is what it is. But we got to get that across to the next level.
Right. I put the calculator in the chat. If you fill that out, it actually goes to Scott. He'll get a notification that you filled it out. So
Yep.
if that helps you at all, feel free to open it and put your numbers in. We just kind of just need some basic invoice information, and then he'll get you that. Okay, totally optional. You don't have to. But that might be, since you guys brought that up, that might be a good tool for you. So one of the main focuses today is the AI-driven AP automation, right? So for businesses like yours, this tool is made just for you for Syspro. So we can go to the next slide.
I'm going to add something to that, something I learned from another, actually another software company that's out there in the world. Nothing to do with us at all. It's just somebody I've worked with over the years. And he said he came from a big show in Chicago, a few months ago. And he counted that there were 70 companies, software companies, offering AP automation out in the world. Now that gives you an idea how many different people that you could go to get AP automation. I mean, I could rattle off 3 or 4 names real quick. But the bottom line is we're the only one that's specific. And I say specific because right now it doesn't work with any other products. It's specific for Syspro. All the others are going to say, oh, I can hook to that. I can do that. I can do this. I can do all these magic things, but they're not in the Syspro toolkit. They're just products that can be added to many, many different ERPs, which I think is a bonus for you to have the product that works specifically with Syspro.
I love that. And I'm going to try and find the link to the marketplace. Hopefully you guys have already got all the emails from Syspro, right? But we are on the Syspro marketplace. So there's lots of videos and other information out there too, but that just reiterates what Scott just said and our complete alignment with Syspro that we put ourselves on the marketplace for you guys too. So,
right.
All right. Do you want to do you like covering all these cool benefits, Scott? You want to do this?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. And you're going to hear, I know there's a competitor out there that really, really, reflects off this reduced fraud. But we're doing it, and we're just not making a big, spiel about it because everything we're doing reduces fraud. It protects you against duplication, against, that invoice that doesn't match up. There's just all different ways that we go about that. And we're verifying and validating everything that goes into the system. So we're ultimately doing that. And I know people will ask us if we have our own pay system within AP Robot. And I say that because it has a lot to do with fraud. It tends to be that you pay back to the wrong company or to the wrong account or something like that. That's where the protection is. Well, we actually allow you to continue to do it using your payment process within Syspro. So no information is ever getting changed because you're using what you've had in that account forever. So if you don't change it, you're not going to be paying in the wrong account because it's going to be accurate compared to what you have in Syspro.
So yeah, we're pulling the supplier records from Syspro, and we, just to summarize what he said, is we can't change supplier records or any GL codes or just all your data that's in Syspro. We have access to see and use, but none of it can be changed or modified. So that means when those invoices come in, it is what it is, right? And either it's real because it matches what's in Syspro or it's not, right? So it's just very clear because the robot will tell us.
Yeah. And if it's not, that's when you need to take and push it down an approval process. Those invoices somebody needs to look at. I remember in the old days, buying cases and cases of paper back in the 80s and 90s when I worked in manufacturing. And I mean, man, I could send you guys a bill for, a whole bunch of paper and you guys just pay it because it's like, well, I think we got it, and that'd be awesome. And you never
Yes.
got a dime worth of paper from me, but, those are the kind of areas that I feel people could really take you really quickly on, is something that you really didn't even get. And like I said, those should be checked out. That should go back to the people involved. So no matter what you're doing. So then return on investment. We've talked about this already. Our goal is to get you a return on investment potentially in 2 or 3 months. I mean, very, very quickly, very quick turnaround on return on investment, because we're just going to eliminate the labor. When we talk about return on investment, I also think about the AP clerk that's like, well, then I'm not going to have a job. Well, we all know in the employment business right now, that AP clerk's not going to lose their job by any means. If we cut the hours down that they need, they're just going to be utilized somewhere else, because the bottom line is there's plenty of work for people. Everybody's got a shortage of labor right now. So there's no concern that we're going to take you out of your position there. So return on investment is good for the company and actually gets you more resource that you can use within the company. Discounts. We manage, discounting that takes place in your AP invoices. We actually look to your terms table and we make sure that things are set up so that they're going to get, paid on time, that they're set up to be paid, so that you take advantage of discounts that are available to you with your, with your vendor, I guess I would say. And then this is a given. We're really working hard to reduce errors. We're allowing AI to read that information off the invoice. And I have to be honest, 3 or 4 years ago, we were like, yeah, it works about 90% of the time. But as things have progressed, as we told people 3 or 4 years ago, it continues to get smarter. The systems continue to get smarter, and issues that way are just, they just don't really happen anymore. Now, the bottom line, the way that we work, we put it all on the screen, so it's very visual to you. And if you choose not to auto post, it's just a matter of clicking a post button is all there is to passing a file from the being dropped into the folder into the AP invoice file. So you can still view it and see it and do that if you choose to. Also allows you to do approvals and move documents around your office to get the correct manager's approval if there's an issue with an invoice. I'll let
All
you
right, I'll
have this.
take it. Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, so the stories come from all of the implementations that we've done. And one good case study that we just did recently involved the robot plus document management put together. So Scott will talk about this in a little bit, but you can choose to start with just the robot and it'll do the invoices and all of the paperwork for that. But then you can also bolt on our document management, which will do all the documents surrounding your entire business. And this company decided to do all the documents. So what we were tracking was the challenges of all the paper, the manual processes, how long it took to ingest invoices and then get them all the way through that payment process, right? So we took their snapshot before the robot and looked at numbers. And then after 3 months, we looked and we cut like everything in half. So like I said at kind of the beginning, instead of taking 10 hours to process AP a week, we were down to 3. And it was automating all the archiving of all the documents. So, that extra step where you have to save documents somewhere and hope you can find them later based on your file name or some folder structure that somebody came up with. We store all our documents securely, safely, and we encrypt them and we make them smaller so they don't take up as much space. Anyways, it's very safe and it's all controlled by permissions. all these good things, right? So we took that step away from them without them having to remember to have to do all that. So this is on our website too, so I can send you, you don't need to read all that right now, but if you can click again, Scott, there's more quotes I pulled from this afterwards, but basically kind of like what Scott was saying is they were looking through and really wanted a Syspro partner to start with, right? They didn't want to find, if you Google AP automation, you're going to get like 20 companies that come up, but it's a lot of extra work to try and figure out how that all integrates, right? Where you purchase our product and it's set up the next day. Like you don't have to worry about, are my supplier records going to send over, are my GL codes coming over, all these things that you need to process invoices. That's all set up for you. Objects with Syspro, so it's real-time data flow. So anyways, this was the CFO, and I asked him for a quote after our project, and he said he would highly recommend us to everybody he knows in the Syspro world, which was cool. And then one more was his AP person who uses it every day. And she loved the three-way matching, it made it really easy for her. And now we match 90% of all our invoices go right through the robot, which 90% is pretty good. That's a high number as far as how many get through that system automated, right?
Right.
We'll start maybe closer to 50% when you first put invoices in, and we get you up to a higher number. But even that's a win, right? If you only have to look at half of your invoices, like sign me up, right? That sounds exciting. So because the robot will process them for you. So okay, you can go to the next screen.
Well, you basically walk before you run is what it amounts to.
Exactly. So we have a few more stories. We won't read these all to you, but just know that after we work with you on a project, you can click another one, that we talk to our users and really find out, we have you fill out a survey. What went really well? What are you liking about the robot? What are the benefits you want to share with others? And the one on the right is just the huge time savings. That's probably our number one feedback we get, is that we're just faster at our business now, right? And that's really the whole goal of automation, is to speed up how, it's like, oh my gosh, sometimes our AP process feels like forever, right? This tool will speed that up for you. Okay, next one.
This is a good one. It says it took seconds to be installed. And this is from a gentleman that we worked with on this particular area. But I actually have my own story, and it actually was brought to me by Stephanie back in the day. It's probably over 3 years ago now that we got a customer. I guess it was a customer down in Florida, to be specific, and they were very interested in the robot. We went through the whole process, and they're like, "Yep, we want to go. We want to buy your robot." So the bottom line is, we signed off on all the paperwork. We sent the information into Syspro, because then they get you a new license for your system, so that you've got the E.net objects that you need for integration. And those got applied, and Stephanie gave them access to our portal. And all that's in the portal is an install program, just a simple just a simple install program that they bring down and they put it on their desktop and they do install. And then it's done. And Stephanie had said, well, next Tuesday we'll do the training with you so we can get you started on your project here, so we can get going. And come to find out, they got on Tuesday morning, and the gal already had 400 invoices that had been processed. She'd set up the parameters, which there's only three. There's only three parameters to set the whole system up. So the bottom line is, this gal had done 400 invoices, set up the parameters without any training at all, without any help from us at all. And to this day, it's like, wow, that's incredible. She just took it on herself to open up a screen, and it's like, well, all I get to do is fill this in. And when I say parameters, we're telling it where to look for the PDFs. We're telling it what the tolerance is. Will I accept a price that's within 1% and consider it a match? Those are the questions. I mean, they're not hard questions at all. So it was very easy for her to set up, very easy. And boom. So that was great. That was just incredible. I think the final thing she said, but I do have a couple questions for you. So
Yeah, we
That's all
still
good.
got some training in,
Still
right?
got a couple, yeah, still got a couple things to ask of you, but it's pretty
All right,
cool.
go to the, you can click and do the next one. Yeah, so we got some good feedback from our customers, and the point of that is so easy to use. We are going to share the screen here. That's like coming up here, is you're going to see the robot screen and how easy it is to use, and that's why people can just kind of set it up and wing it. 25% increase. Okay, so this one's really good because their business was growing and they didn't want to hire another person. So raise your hand if that's you, and maybe if your business is growing, this robot would be perfect for you, because instead of having to hire another person, the robot can take that work on. Does that make sense? So that's what that one's about. And then there's one more, Scott. Sorry.
Yep,
I saw.
there you go.
Yep. And just time savings again. Okay. So, and she always just says it's the best thing ever. She's adorable. So, okay. And then the next slide is our screen, I think. So you guys ready to see the robot? I broke it down into segments, Scott, so that there's a lot on one screen. Okay, so we did this so that when you're processing invoices, you don't have to like go to 8 different places to find things. We're giving you all the information we have in one place. So at first you're gonna go, whoa, that's a lot, but then you're like, thank you. Okay, so it's kind of a mix of two things. It's a lot to look at, but yet once you know where to look, you can look
You
at
learn.
for one place for everything. All right, so go ahead, Scott.
You learn one screen, and that's all there is to it. All right, this is our main screen as we come in here, and this is the main section of the screen, I should say, because and you'll notice up along the top it says it's running. That means that it's looking at a folder, and if anything gets dropped in that folder, a PDF gets dropped in that folder, it's looking, and it's going to review that. And if you've got auto posting turned on and it matches with your GRN and your PO and Syspro, it'll literally write it into Syspro. You don't do anything at all if you've got auto posting turned on and it matches. Now, the bottom line is if there's an exception, or if you've chosen to have auto posting turned off, you'll start to get a list over here. You can kind of see it. This one happens to be shaded out, but there's actually a transaction there. There's one line item there on this order. And then here's the header and footer information related to that. And you notice all these fields in white. If I needed to, I could actually make an adjustment to any of those fields. So any of those fields I can make, if it didn't read it quite right, or maybe it's a utility bill and it's got a purchase order on it. Well, we know utility bills don't have purchase orders, so we just remove it. That's the simplest, as far as what we see happen. You see simple things like that. Then we do show you the invoice, that makes sense. And now in 2026, we've moved to our billing goes against an invoice, not a page. In the past, up until 2026, we were selling the AP robot and we were counting pages. So if you had an invoice with 6 or 7 pages, that was counted as 6 or 7, and then we did the math to see what you were charged. That has changed now. We just bill you by the invoice. So what you would see here is the invoice, and then you could scroll through as many pages are there so you can see everything on it. And it'll actually mark it up just as it is here. We didn't do this. In this particular case, it found a discrepancy, and it highlighted it so that we can see it. Then right below it, we open up a window that shows your receipts and your purchase order information. So you can see that information, and you basically take a look. If you look at this one in specifically, you'll notice that line that's highlighted in red. The extended price out here happens to be $602.40. Well, the extended price on the purchase order is $576. There it is. There's our discrepancy. Now we can kind of backtrack and see that the unit price is $12.55 compared to $12. Boom. We have a variance. The customer or with the vendor has billed us 55 cents more than what we were, requesting on our PO. We now need to decide what to do about that. And then this all gets taken care of when it comes to our GLs. We're looking directly at the items that are listed on those line items for their GL accounts. So we know exactly what GL accounts things get posted to. We also know exactly, if you've got a default freight account, we know what that is. Keep in mind these GLs come up, but the bottom line is if you needed to, each one of these in this area over here, you can click and you'll get a drop down and you can actually update that GL account to a different account. We go with what the majority, what the standard is, and then you actually have the ability to change it if need be. Then if this one needed to go, maybe it's like, oh my gosh, you need to send it back to the purchasing manager and see, what's he want me to do? It's 12:55, he quoted at 12. What do you want me to do? Well, then we have the workflow here, and this is where we just change ownership of this particular invoice just for a short period of time. So we have a drop down here that says owner. We would drop that down, pick the person that we want to pass this to, and then type in whatever note that we need, and then just click save. And what it'll do is it'll deliver to him or her an email that has this information in the email. They do not need to have AP Robot. They'll get it delivered to them in an email, and in that email, they'll have access to the document, and they'll be able to reply with their status. Should we put it on hold, reject it, accept it? What should we do with it? And then they can write a note and push it back to us. And all they do then is just click save on their end, and it comes back, and then it's able to be completed by the AP clerk. They could even choose to pass it on to another person if need be, and it can keep moving around the office until it's final approval. So
perfect.
This is when you bring that all together and put it all on one screen. This is the only screen you need to learn. When Stephanie says, I'm going to train you on the AP Robot, this is what she's talking about right here, right in front of you. Everything you need to know about, the AP Robot is on this screen.
And I'm going to walk you through just a couple buttons. There's a lot, because in your training, we'll dig into this. But if you could click the mouse one time, I'm just going to point out a couple buttons. One of our newer features is credit notes. So that's new for the robot. We just added that. And that allows you, just like you would in Syspro, to post a credit note. So super easy. We weren't passing like negative numbers. So now we can pass those credits. You can click the mouse again. Another new feature is our multiple PO feature. So before we were matching your invoice to a PO to your GRNs, right? Now we can do multiple POs, which just is like a whole new ball game, which is cool, right? So it opens up all your GRNs available for the POs that you select. So when you move that radio button at the bottom there from left to right, it allows you to get a checkbox to pick which POs you want. So it'll let you, if there's 5 for that supplier, you can pick the 3 that you want to use, or what. It's all open, and it just allows you to see more GRNs, because right now we're displaying only GRNs for that PO number, which is good normally, right? But some suppliers you might have give you lots of PO. I've heard some stories of like, oh yeah, we got an invoice with 10 POs on it, right? And before we couldn't do that. And that's a new feature we added a couple months ago. So that's working really awesome. Our customers are loving that one. There's another good button. Go ahead and click it again. And that's the available GRNs. Like I said, we can sort and filter and do lots of cool things with that list. We tried to make it as easy as we could for you to display, like I said, only for that PO, so that the list is clean. However, if you need multiple POs, that list gets quite long. But there's lots of ways to filter it and move it and make sure you see the right listing of GRNs below there. Okay, we'll go through that during your training. You can click it again. The other sections, it's totally fine. The GL accounts, I get some questions on that. Basically, we pull your GL accounts from Syspro, so you can't edit them here, which is a good thing, right? So we don't change any data, but we display and we pull your default accounts from Syspro that you've set up. So if you tell me, hey, Stephanie, I set up default freight account and I have a default merchandise account in Syspro, we'll pull those. That's less steps for you later. And if you don't, you get homework during that time, and we go set those up, because that just pulls for that supplier your default accounts if we can. And you can always change them here, of course, but it is a time savings if we can pull default accounts. And if there's any purchase price variances, you'll see those there too. And then the last one talks about kind of what Scott just said, and that's that workflow. And what's really important for audit reasons is we now forever keep that workflow history, right? So you can raise your hand or put in the chat if you've ever if your workflow right now is an email sequence of like back and forth 10 times, and that's your audit for audit trail purposes, not just an email. We keep and capture every click of your invoice history, every person you sent it to, every person that changed the status of an invoice, every person that touched it, we save that forever. So that invoice history tab is super important. And maybe it doesn't feel like it today, but I'll tell you, if and when you have an audit, knowing that we capture that and we save it in our archive is important forever, right? So
Right.
that's a newer tab that when we built that workflow in. So that's it for me, Scott.
Right. Yeah. And some of just another item that it dawned on me one day. I mean, this is a few years ago, but I was like, well, we got invoice date, but how does it get due date? I'm just asking myself, because nowhere on here does it say due date. It just says the invoice date. And as I was talking to Jim and Casey, it's like, oh, we grab the terms table. We go to the terms table, your terms table in Syspro, and it says net 30 terms. So we actually do the math. We calculate what the due date is relative to the invoice date. So we're going to match up what it is. And same thing with the discount date. So we're truly just that integrated that we're actually looking to Syspro to do math to put the right information on this screen and to do it in real time. Another comment was somebody said, well, I just added a new GL account. It's like, well, pull the drop down. If you pull the drop down, it's going to be there because we're looking at the same GL account. It's not synchronized. It's not a copy of it. It's not going to be updated in an hour. It's live. So those kinds of things are really cool that we're live in all those areas. Record implementation. Well, I gotta argue with you because our gal down in Florida did it by herself.
But it still counts. It's go ahead and click it. Yeah. That's well, I always tell people they can try and beat it, right? So you can try
Right?
and that's our best it's 2 days. So
That's not bad. That's not bad. You can build on that.
Right.
When she starts building and putting hours in, that'll be when it gets cool.
I like it.
There you go. No, it's awesome. All right. We're up to this.
I know. Now they get to ask us questions. We can dig back in. So let's hear do you guys want to unmute now? That was a good time to unmute, even if you're eating lunch. We're totally cool with that. Unmute, say hi.
Lunch all the time. Yeah.
Ooh, good. Mindy is asking how they get into our document management. Let's do that one.
How do the invoices get into document management? At the time of posting, when we actually post the invoice, and that doesn't matter if it's auto posted or when you actually go back and click the post button right here. When you click that post button, it puts that invoice into the archive.
Instant, like no work. It's so awesome.
No,
and it goes to Syspro. So you're basically, Mindy, sending it to 2 places at once. So it's going to post to Syspro just like you normally would. And then it auto archives to DDX. And it even takes all your keywords. So we're going to capture the purchase order, the invoice number, all those fields that DDX captures.
Yeah,
we're going to take those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so for those of you that don't know, yeah, go ahead.
So like right now, when we're saving stuff in DDX for my publisher, we're saving it, my keyword is by invoice number. So when I plug in the invoice number, it pulls everything in.
That's right.
Yep.
So when I would hit post, then it would pull by the invoice number, I'm assuming, and then still do everything that I would be doing manually right now.
That's right. That's right.
It does it all automatically.
Yeah, we send it because you're kind of talking to its own system. They were built together for that exact reason. That it should be less steps for you because you've already done the work to capture it all here, right? So the AI populates all the invoice number, PO number. We're going to pull all that, and when we push it to our document management system, it forwards all that data on and keywords, so it's searchable later, right? So you could look this up by the PO number and still find it. I bet you search by invoice number, but there's lots of fields you could search on.
Right. The thing of it is, up here in the title bar, there's a button. I can't, being just a PowerPoint, I can't do anything, but it says invoice data. And if I open that little window up, it'll show me field names and what AI found on the invoice. So ultimately, it knows what the company name is. It knows what the sold to is. It knows what the shipped to is. It knows the customer number. It knows all of this stuff automatically. So when we put it away in the archive, it just uses that information. It already has it all. It doesn't even need to go look into Syspro for that particular information because it's pulled it right off the invoice. So it's very efficient, very, very efficient.
Okay, next question. We're very big on, of course, on paper right now, handwriting little notes on there, like if there's a PPV, like this is the reason why, blah, blah, blah. Being that these are going to be saved to DDX, is there a way to get the notes on the invoice before it's posted so that they'll show, or do I have to go into DDX after it's been saved and then indicate those notes?
Where we need to ask Casey about, we have, when there's a document in DDX, when you put it away in DDX, there's a note, there's an area that's got notes, like activity and notes.
Correct.
And I don't know for sure if this invoice reference number, see this field down here that says invoice reference number. I don't know if that gets put away in that field or not, but I was thinking that it might be that gets put in that note field. I'd have to check one out. But basically, a field on here, if we don't have it today, if we put a field so that when it posts, that it puts it on, it wouldn't put it on the paper, wouldn't put it like you hand
Can I tell you
it.
where it is, Scott? Because we do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
yeah.
Say,
right.
Oh. So yeah.
Oh,
so in that invoice, so that invoice history, bottom left, that tab, anything you put there appears as a note in DDX forever. So, and it's unlimited text. It's just like it is in DDX, and it's not editable once it's there, right? Just like DDX. So,
so I would click on that, type in,
anything you want. Yep.
And then it posts in that note section.
It is. It's beautiful.
Oh, there you go.
And we've tested it many times because, well, that's also how the workflow. So when you open the invoice later in DDX, and there's like 4 notes, right? Because if it passed to many people, it all appears, every click of the invoice is a new note. So it actually will have 4 lines if it went to like, well, it starts as you're always the first line as the accounting person. And then it could have 3 more lines below you after the whole workflow's done. But yeah, that's all a note. And it's pretty slick, actually, because it's so easy to read in DDX later. Yeah.
Winner.
I know. Yeah, the invoice
right.
history is literally a lifesaver because you can capture all of that forever, right? Where it's like it's not an email anymore. It's like it's here, connected to the document, so you can't lose it.
Well, and you can do it at the time you're posting the invoice.
Right.
So it's all done in one shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good question. So the good news is Mindy already has our document management, which some people start with the robot and add document management. Some people start with like the big project is document management because that's like all inclusive, right, of everything. So those of you on the call might be starting with one or the other and they work together. But it is critical that you piece those together because it is one thing to automate your accounts payable, but then it's like all that back end documentation and work has to go somewhere too, right? So at least Mindy, you're done with that part, right? So
yeah.
Good.
I just had a quick question. When our owner goes to approve like the items they're going to be paid for the week. Currently now when we, hand post our invoices to Syspro, I'll write in like a note that says like, this was for like bolts, nuts, and whatever, or it's for a project or whatever.
Yes.
And that note is, we have like an access report, and it's, she can see what that invoice was actually for. Could we, that invoice reference field, would that be, like what pulls into Syspro from, like the AP robot that would pull into those fields that I'm currently using
it's kind
now?
of 2 things you just said. So one is I should have put the email that they get in here, Scott. That's what we should add next time is. So basically how he has it displayed over on the right there for the workflow, you would change and send her an email. And in the notes section, you would put your notes, like you just said, this is for this project, this is for this. And when you click save, it sends her an email, and then she can see all your notes, what it's for, and decide if she wants to approve it or not, right? Part two to that is, yes, over to the left, the invoice reference field, but that's all once it's posted, people will see this. So really there's kind of two parts. One, what do you want people to see before it's posted? And then that invoice reference field plus the notations under the every GL line over on the left there has a notation as well.
Right
so you can note at different levels, and you will see all of those in Syspro, but not till it's posted. Okay. So if you need her to see it before it's posted, which is typical because it's not approved, yeah, you would put it in that notes. And when she gets the email, she gets all the notes from you. Plus she gets a copy of the invoice. So she'll see that. She'll see the GL accounts that you've saved for it, so she can decide if those are correct. And then any notes that you put in for her to review, that will help her make a decision. She'll see that. And once she approves it, it comes back to your inbox. Okay. So again, that's a new check on the audit history. You'll get it back and then you post it. Sound good? So there's a flow to that, but we could figure that out in your training too, to figure out where the notes will be perfectly for you and your workflows, but there are options there.
But the invoice reference and then that notation that's down in that bottom part,
yeah,
I can still physically type stuff in there, correct?
Those are all open text. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We pre-fill the invoice reference, why it says PO. People always say thank you, but we can change that. We put the PO number in for you. You don't have to type that, and we put by smrtr so that you know it came from the robot in case. If you ever manually put one in Syspro, then you can differentiate where it came from, but you can edit it. Some people, for like energy bills or non-PO things, you'll want to fill it in probably with something else. So
right. But no, that answers my question totally.
Okay.
Perfect. All right.
How about Anton's group? They've been quiet. Let's see. Thank you, Mindy.
They're probably eating lunch.
I know.
We've been debating internally because, part of the change is, like I said, for us, it's a habit. When we're signing checks today, the matching is fine on the AP robot, but when we're signing checks today, we have one check has a stack of paper with all the backup. And then again, leadership is used to seeing all those backup, even though the POs were signed up front. And then there's a few questions that comes up at the time. But so, like I said, we revisit our workflow, and then perhaps have some time with Stephanie or somebody from your end and say, here's how we're currently doing it. And then how are we going to resolve this procedures that we're doing now? Because for us, we know we have a bulletproof procedure. And now we're going to say, okay, we're going to have less paper. We're going to do more electronics. And it's something for, like I said, it's a big change because we're used to seeing a lot of papers, and you guys probably come across that all the time. And but we're gonna have to review our process and what will be the new process going to be.
I like that. Yeah, it's good to take a step back and then figure out how this fits, right? And we'd love to help with that because it could be small to start too, right? Just to get some small wins. And so maybe we don't
correct. So like we
turn
said,
the whole thing upside down, but yeah.
The AP robot we got, right? So it does all the matching and stuff. Now we have DDX internally already to layer that out.
Wonderful. So
And
you're a
then
step
again,
ahead too. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So depending on how much less paper you want it to do, that's up to us. We just need to review that on our end.
Right.
I like that. And we can share some stories with you on other customers that have moved that way, that have DDX. And maybe it's just even a project review of like making sure we're maximizing your investment in that product in DDX first too, just because I want to make sure you have access to all the documents you need in like almost like a bundle format, right? So when you go to approve payments, can you guys easily see the documents you need? And that should free up some paper too. We'll see, but that you know what I mean? We almost need to, I would take a step back and just make sure we have it all correctly in there so that you can count on those documents when you need them. And that builds that confidence.
Check issuance.
Yeah, so I mean, Kamal, our controller here is just telling us to revisit our flow. And I think that's a homework that we have to do from our end.
Okay.
Understand that and probably submit it. Now, Kamal's been turning his chair every now and then, and he's asking me about pricing. I said, don't worry, they'll send that to you by email.
That's right.
Don't worry about price. Never.
And Scott is gonna tell you, if you actually buy now, you get an extra chicken balls on your.
Right.
Yeah, we do have a clean cut though around 12:55 from our end, because the boardroom is needed at 1 o'clock.
Yes, we're almost
But,
done. I think we
definitely-
have one more slide.
Yeah, I think
Scott, you want
so.
to tell them the
Okay,
good
go ahead.
news?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank
We're
you,
about-
guys.
Thank you.
We're good. We're wrapping up here. So we're just assuming you all are super excited. So that's my little slide on that. You can keep going. We are running a promotion for those of you looking to start because we've been told, hey, we don't know if this is for sure going to work for us. Is there a little something you can offer us for 60 days to see if this would work for us, right? And so this is something Scott and I came up with that if you're interested, he will set up a separate time with you because this is his specialty on walking through what the 60 days looks like, and then you'll work with me to set it up, right, to get your instance running for your team. But anything else, Scott, on this?
No, I mean, the bottom line is we're just looking to allow you to have 60 days. Your only expense, and we just have to do this, is the implementation. There's an implementation because we're actually doing full-blown implementation. So your skin in the game is, having Stephanie do her part, her implementation part, which is, as we mentioned, is not a huge deal. But then for the first 2 months, we would just go with no fees. And up until that point, if you decided to walk away, so be it. At that point, we would start your term just as a normal customer after 60 days.
Sorry, I misunderstood that. I thought 60 months.
60 months would be awesome.
I wish I could get my boss's yes on that one. That would.
Oh, that Antone, I'll be retired by then. That'll never
Right.
work. Yeah, that won't work. That's 5 years. Well, maybe I'll be retired. I don't know.
5 years? Yeah, you better be by then, Scott. We're
Steph.
kicking you out.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Is there one more slide, I think, and then we're good? I think it just has our website. Okay, yeah, we've talked about all these
Just
good
a
things.
recap. Oh yeah, we got to
This
get
is the dance party. This is the fun part. Because we got to make AP automation fun because it's sometimes kind of dry, right? But okay, one more slide and it's our website, which I'm sure most of you know. There you go. We'll send you this recording as well in case you need some entertainment later. But Scott will be in touch with you guys and you can tell him your timing, right? Of like how this falls for your business and next steps. So we don't bother you, but we want to follow up just to make sure we answer all your questions.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much, guys. We appreciate
Okay,
your
thank
time.
you. Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
We'll hang out for a minute if anybody has questions, but thank you guys. I'll stop the recording in case anybody has